I'm going to use this hammer as an example to describe the why of the universe. It's it's something they used in our philosophy classes, specifically this hammer. So it's in my mind, and I'm going to have a couple examples. But I want to use these examples just to relate exactly directly. These examples should directly correlate to how we see human lives, or humanity. Just like this hammer has materials, we humans also have materials. And just like this hammer has a form, we humans also have a form. And form and material causes are intrinsic to the object. And the last two causes are, by the way, extrinsic. The efficient cause and the final cause are outside of the object. Intrinsic, means it's inside the object. It's a part of the object. And for this hammer, the intrinsic properties of this hammer would be the wood and the metal. If I asked you to hand me a wood block and a chunk of metal, I would look at those two materials and I would not see a hammer. It does not have the form of a hammer. It has the form of a chunk of metal and a piece of wood, but that's the materials that this hammer is made from. So we have covered the material cause for the hammer. When the maker of the hammer, forms the hammer into the shape of the hammer, gets the metal hot, forms it into the head, carves the wood down into the handle and puts it together and makes it into this shape, this form. Now we can see that it is a tool, that it is a hammer, and that it probably wants to hit some nails as soon as it can. Every hammer wants to hit a nail. Every thing is a nail to a hammer, as they say. But those are intrinsic, inside the properties of this object. Even the form, after it's made, you cannot separate this form from this hammer until you destroy the form and the hammer. Extrinsic to the hammer is when it becomes really interesting, because that's when choice comes into play. Specifically considering humans. I mean, choice comes into play when we're making a hammer in all four causes. But when I'm talking about the origin of the universe and the origin of human beings, choice comes into play in the last two causes for humans. For example, I'm just going to dive right into it. Humans, they have a material cause, and we're made from stardust. It's something that I think is common knowledge now, and we can prove it, and it's easy to describe how we come from the universe, literally stardust. And so you're a star. I knew you were, and I always thought you were. So it's nice to know that we're all stars on this sunny stage that we call Earth. It's fun. It's something we should probably think as fun and try to enjoy it as much as possible. So our material comes from the universe, and we certainly didn't have any choice about choosing or selecting our materials, like we did for this hammer. And so the second cause would be the formal cause, and the form for human beings is clearly different than other forms that we see in the universe. There's a lot of ways to approach talking about the formal cause of human beings, and I think what I've chosen to do is I'm just going to say that it's intelligence. So any plant, any life, any animal, really even rocks, and the universe itself, but for sure sentient beings that have a nervous system and a brain are going to be what I'm talking about here, and they all have a form, and that form would be called intelligence. When we say humans, humanity, our specific form for that intelligence is in the shape of a human body. And so the human body with our brain, that's the formal cause of humanity. And again, we didn't necessarily get to select for that or choose for that. That's intrinsic to our, you know, our beingness, the material and the form that we have. And so when we get to the last two causes, again, it's interesting because we get to choose, we get to select choices. We have an efficient cause and a final cause as the last two causes of Aristotle's four causes or explanations for how things are in the universe, the whys of things. And so with humans, you know, just like this hammer, we have an efficient cause. Now, again, the hammer, the efficient cause would be its intended use by whoever made it. And we know it's common knowledge that when we see a hammer, we assume the maker of that hammer made it in that form so that it could do carpentry. And look, I've hit I've been doing carpentry lately. But at any rate, uh, so you know when you see a hammer that its efficient cause is to hammer nails, and that its maker intended it to be that efficient cause. Its maker of the hammer intended the hammer to be used for carpentry. Well, what about humans? We are also with form, and our maker had an intention when we were made, just like the maker of the hammer had an intention for this hammer. Our maker made us into the form of intelligence, and specifically with humans, we have the form of intelligence in the shape of a human body with brain. And so the question is, what does God want from that intelligence? Why did God make that intelligence? And that's the question that I talked a little bit about in my last video, referring to Chris Langen here. He came up with an excellent reason for why the universe is creating intelligence. And the answer for that leads us to the final cause. Now, the efficient cause is, again, for humans, it's going to lead us to be able to do something. And in the efficient cause, according to Chris Langen, for humans, the efficient cause for humans would be that we know about God or the intelligence in the universe, and that we know that we understand. Really, the question is, why did God make humans and intelligence in the universe? Why? Why did God do that? But of course, we can only infer and induce or deduct reasoning here, but it appears to be that God made humans so that it could perpetuate intelligence. And just like somebody might make this hammer to perpetuate carpentry, and not just to make a hammer and have a hammer, God or the universe, it would follow suit that God didn't make humans just to have humans around. The universe is not creating intelligence simply to have intelligence and put it on the mantle and look at it once in a while. There's a reason why we have these things. So the hammer is used for carpentry, and that's the efficient cause of the hammer. Humans are used to recognize God and have a relationship with God. And that's I believe, our efficient cause. If you don't want to believe in it like that because it sounds a little bit too churchy, imagine it like this. Humans, the efficient cause of humans is to perpetuate intelligence, to become smarter, to understand better, to know things. And that's what we're doing. We're doing that pretty good. In the last 250 years, one could say, we've been doing an excellent job ever since the Enlightenment. But I like to study history, and I can see, it's been happening for thousands and thousands of years that we've been involved in this intelligence movement, and it's. I want to suggest that in the study of anthropology, the movement of intelligence progresses rapidly when there is cooperation and alignment of activity. When the golden rule is in play, intelligence moves faster. It works better. And so that's why I believe education is the key for all of humans on this entire planet to, as we move forward here in the next decades and 100 years, I believe education is the answer for all of us to have, to save the planet, to not ruin our possibility of having relationships with each other, not. It's probably the solution for humanity to move to this next stage, the next evolution of humans. I'd like to see it turn into some kind of Star Trek thing. It would be kind of fun, have some prime directive where it's based on the golden rule, and we're using intelligence for technology for all the right reasons and stuff like that. We already have stories about it, Gene Roddenberry and so many others. And if we can think about it, we can do it. And it's just that simple. So I'm extremely encouraged that that's what's going to happen in the next 50 years or so, that we will see our efficient cause becoming more actualized as we understand that we have this form for the purpose of actualizing our intelligence as the creator had intended. Well, I've left one cause out, the final cause for humans. Why did the universe make intelligence in this form of a human body and brain? So that we would perpetuate intelligence. Why would the universe want that? What was the final cause? Well, let's quickly look back to the hammer. The final cause of the hammer isn't simply to do carpentry. It's nice to have a hammer around. It's nice to have a hammer when you want to do carpentry around. But ultimately, you have the hammer so you can do carpentry, so that you can have a table and some chairs to sit on. And the tables and chairs have nothing to do with this hammer. The hammer's is put away. We're not looking at the hammer anymore. We're not thinking about it. We're simply using the tables and chairs that the hammer made. Well, think about it. We're kind of like that hammer. We're the tool for God, right? And God made this universe, which gave us materials, and the material cause, therefore, to have intelligence in the universe. And the form that intelligence took up, the formal cause, it took up that form in eventually the human body and brain. And the efficient cause of the universe, it appears to be to perpetuate more intelligence in the universe. Okay, but what for? Why? What's the final cause? Eventually, are we going to be put away in the toolbox like this hammer? Or do we get to participate in some tables and chairs and sit down with, maybe with God at the dinner table or something like that? And so it's an important concept because, I mean, on one level, it's sort of like asking this hammer to jump into a chrysalis and metamorphosize into a butterfly. It's almost like asking this hammer to not be a hammer anymore and to join me at the dinner table in some other relationship. Because the hammer, even though it participates in the final cause of the table and chairs, it, doesn't really have any other relationship besides that. And so this is why it's so critically important to understand that when we perpetuate our intelligence in the universe with the idea of the efficient cause, that we understand why we're doing it. The final cause, of the universe. And Chris Langan and others, many religions, I also have thought about this and tend to agree with most of the religions, and specifically with Chris Langan, this idea that we're perpetuating our intelligence in the universe so that we can help the universe perpetuate intelligence, And so it's almost like a paradox, but I also think that we have the potential to be like butterflies. We can be like a caterpillar and turn into something else. We see it all the time in nature, how things are evolving and changing their form and therefore their efficient cause and obviously their final cause, just like a caterpillar, turns into a butterfly. And so, we have this efficient cause called intelligence that apparently is leading us towards some metamorphosis, some kind of quality in a qualification, a quality change, a change in the quality of our efficient cause, possibly our form, possibly our material cause. These are mysteries, and we don't get to know. We don't really get to know. We can only surmise. But because we do get to know what the first three causes are of the universe, it's pretty easy to deduce that the final cause is to love the aspects of the first three causes. It's also kind of tricky because it apparently seems like we're there's big words for this, heuristic, but even autism is kind of interesting because it's sort of an the universe appears to be looking into itself and self-creating and self-processing. It's the universe being a self-processor is necessary so that it can perpetuate intelligence. It can process the information that it has and then continue to perpetuate this intelligence using the four causes. Well, I hope I've explained these causes. I'm gonna sort of wind down with the idea now, but the material cause of humans being stardust, the formal cause of humans being intelligence, and the efficient cause of humans being perpetuation of that intelligence seems to be rather clear. The final cause of humans is not so clear, but it's certainly nothing to fight about or anything. It's a great fun thing to think about, and I think it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that we are using love, intention, and those words cover just about all of what I'm thinking of. Love and intention, I think, are the final cause. In the Catholic faith or in some other religions, really the ultimate goal, the final cause is to sit in the face of God, to see the face of God, to go directly back to the source and be enveloped in the love of that source. And that may be, the final cause as well, but I'm not sure that it is. That sounds like something that might happen when we die, and then we get a chance to, go back through the system. And every time we go back through the system and become a material cause again, a formal cause again, an efficient cause again, all for the purpose of some final cause, humans are probably participating in the final cause when we do this, making it more of a paradox. It appears to be that the universe or God is self-reflecting and turning in on itself, kind of like that torus, that bagel shape, that donut shape. Chris Langan talks about this. He brings in two words, constrict and expansive, and he puts them together and he calls them conspansive. And the conspansive universe is a tricky idea where the universe has to expand so that it can come into itself in the middle and give us material objects as we intend them to be. I'm not going to go down and explain that much farther than saying that. You can Google it at Wikipedia, him, if you want. But it explains perfectly how I was thinking about the universe with that torus, or the donut shape of the universe. And so, we can see the universe expanding. At the same time, the universe might be contracting into itself. And Chris Langan, he expounds on those ideas in such a great, fun way that I'm having a good time listening to him. But I just thought it would be good for us to do some basic philosophical groundwork and cover the four causes of Aristotle, and think about that when we think about maybe hammers, and the next time you pick up a hammer, or when we think about humanity itself and its purpose. Because we all kind of want to know, what is the purpose of life? And if we don't come up with some satisfying answers, it can lead to mental health stress. It can lead to violence and things like that, just because we're confused and we figure there's no other good reason for anything, so why worry about anything at all, right? Well, it's pretty easy to come up with reasons to be concerned. It's really easy to understand how the universe is intelligent, even, and how it's creating life and forms for life to perpetuate that intelligence so that it can. Why would God want that? It would, it would be like asking, why would I want to think? So that we can, I think God created life so that we can help God be God. It might just be that simple and complicated. But at any rate, the four causes of Aristotle are a great way to start investigating philosophy. And it's a really quick and easy way to start thinking about the meaning of life. I hope you guys think about it a little bit. I hope everybody's having a great time out there. It's one of those days where it's sunny here, but it might be bad weather everybody else and everywhere else. And the holidays are, in full swing. We just had Thanksgiving, and happy holidays to everybody. I love you guys. I hope you all have a great time today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.